everybody. Welcome to the Shelemiah Show.
I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. Early in the morning, before the sun begins to shine, we're gonna start moving towards that separating line. I'm wading through muddy waters. You know I got a made up mind, and I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. And I'll fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. And I know what's around the bend might be hard to face 'cause I'm alone, and I just might fail, but Lord knows I'll try. Shine stars fill up the sky. Stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. I hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you.
Hi, welcome to the Shelemiah Show. I am your host, Shelemiah Griffiths-Johnson. Today's show, we are going to be talking about a newly released movie. We had an opportunity to view it at the Bowie Regal Cinemas, and boy was it riveting. In studio today, I have two special guest critics, Abdul Kamoru and Jaden Libby-Gonzaga. We enjoyed the premiere together, and today we will be giving our thoughts on the woman known as Minty, the slave stealer, Moses.
I think it's a huge undertaking and it's going to be really epic. I also think that something really wonderful about the way Casey wrote it is that you see Harriet as a woman, not just as the superhero. And because you get to see her as a woman, her being a superhero is all the more important because of the things that she had to go through as a woman, as a person, as a human being. That is the thing that I thought was really beautiful about it. I think you get to see all sides of her. And then you get to see where she finds her power, like how she gets the power that she has in order to do the incredible things that she did.
Her birth name is Araminta Ross, but her freedom name is Harriet Tubman. Welcome to the show, Abdul and Jaden.
Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
It's definitely a pleasure being on the show. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be here.
You're most definitely welcome. Let's take a look at that astounding film, Harriet.
Because there's something special about being in a theatre, and I think that it's a communal place where you get to meet new people. And I think that if that theatre is full of little girls who, don't know that they have something special about themselves, I hope that this will make them feel special. It's not the way we get to see Harriet all the time. We haven't seen these parts of her. And I think what it will do is show that we as women are really friggin' strong.
There's not much time. You got to be miles away from here before dawn. Where is she? Follow that North Star. If there are no stars, just follow the river. Listen for them. Fear is your enemy. Whoa, easy now.
The excitement of finally being able to bring this woman's story to the screen, because really and truly it should have been done well before now. And I'm just lucky that it's being brought now because I get to be a part of it. And then there's joy because you get to see the way in which people are really relishing the fact that we get to do this. And then there's a bit of sadness because you have to really live some of the things that she's been through. And you have to realize that that is what happened and it was true. And those things are tough, but you bring them to screen and I think it makes the triumph of her even more triumphant.
I'm gonna be free or die.
I don't know if you know how extraordinary this is, but you have made it 100 miles to freedom all by yourself. Would you like to pick a new name to mark your freedom?
Harriet Tubman.
Because it's a reminder of the fact that if we don't keep moving forward, we're going to go backwards. And that's scary. And there are a lot of people, including Harriet, who fought to make sure that people had the rights that they deserve and who fought to make sure that people did have freedom. And if we don't pay attention to that and we don't see that, we risk going right back and wasting their energy and wasting their memory and not fully appreciating the work that had to be done. It's not like now when we have a phone and we can text and we can join a petition, or it wasn't like that. Everything that they did had to be physical. She had to be physical about her want to be free.
You are welcome here anytime. If I'm free, my family should be too. I made up my mind, I'm going back. You're confident, composed. When trouble comes, you'll be ready.
Papers. Says here you're 5.5 feet tall. You ain't more than 5 feet.
Must have won my high boots that day.
Why you back here? It ain't safe.
I come to get you. Bring all of you to freedom.
It has been madness running around in the woods, because I really have been running around in the woods and facing all the elements and the mud and the woods and the trees and the wind and the water and all of that stuff. But I also have been sort of relishing the challenge of putting myself through things physically that I probably thought I would be able to do easily and have come up against it and gone, oh, this is way more difficult than I thought it was going to be, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Do you know what would happen if you got caught? You got lucky, Harriet.
I made it this far on my own, so don't you tell me what I can't do.
For the promised land, I'm gonna leave you.
Harriet, welcome to the Underground Railroad.
Riding a horse with a corset is, an interesting thing to be a part of, but definitely something that gives you this extra, for me, it gives me this extra sense of strength and power, because only 1 or 2 people can sit on a horse or run full speed with a corset on, and that is what I have to do. And I think it's kind of amazing to be able to get that done. It's kind of fun.
Everybody, everywhere is looking for you.
God don't mean people to own people.
Find this thief and burn her at the stake.
Harriet!
I would give every last drop of blood in my veins until this monster called slavery is dead. Ready?
I feel like Casey is giving me the space and the direction that I need in order to tell the story fully, you know, in order to be my whole self. So I really have to throw everything that I have as Cynthia into this woman and then some, which is a wonderful opportunity and a challenge.
Wasn't that awesome? Let's talk about some of the actors and actresses that were in this phenomenal movie. So I know there's one person I really want to cover. Her name is Janelle Monáe, and she was the never a slave, free African-American woman that taught Harriet how to live in a white community, in a mostly white community. So yes, what do you guys think on that?
Well, yeah, that was very interesting for me because as you mentioned, she was born free, and so she had never had the taste of slavery, like Harriet said later in the speech, where she was with the Slave Association, and she was talking about how most of the people that were there had never experienced slavery before. So it was very interesting how she still decided to help her people and bring them into the white community and treat them to act like white people and be bold in their freedom.
I think what really surprised me was that she was free all of her life, but it seemed like maybe it was because she thought that the rules were unjust and that she was really, really lucky to be in the situation that she was where most majority of African Americans were enslaved, that she felt like she understood the slaves so well and she made her own industry where to help slaves who have made it free from their enslavement. Right.
I also want to talk about how Janelle Monáe died. She had died by Bigger Long and Master Rhodes, I believe, and that really hit me hard because she was #1 free. They had no reason to kill her, and the only reason why they did kill her was because she knew Harriet. And Master Rhodes really wanted his slave back, but apparently he didn't get her back. So what do you think?
Well, I think actually he killed her #1 because she was free. So like even though she was free, she was still black, so she was worth nothing to him. And so in addition to her not revealing the location of Harriet, that's why he killed her, because he was angry, and since he knew that he would get easily away with it since she was black, he decided to kill her.
I think that Bigger Long was like, he has like the white people mindset back then, because the white people mindset for African Americans was that that they weren't people, but that African Americans weren't people, but they were money. So I remember Bigger Long had this certain amount of money that he wanted to get for Harriet Tubman. So for finding Harriet Tubman. So basically his white mindset was that she was just money to him. She wasn't a person. He had no feelings like his partner had at first, Walter, but she had no feelings. He had no feelings about how Harriet felt, and he was kind of like a traitor to his own kind. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah. And I can even imagine him calling another one of his white friends, and I'm gonna say that because he was black, but he had the white mindset, right? I can remember he had called his friend the N-word. And that it hit me hard because like I hear that all the time, like I was talking about previously. I hear that all the time in school, so I wonder how that may have occurred, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think that Bigger Long's mindset was that the more people he caught for the masters, that the more they would like him, because like it's just like we do today. For example, if you have this really popular person that you want to be friends with, you're gonna want to do stuff for them so that they can gain your appreciation and become your friend. So I think that's what Bigger Long did with them. But then later on, when he got shot in the head by Master Brodus, that showed that Master Brodus still had no appreciation for him.
Master Brodus is actually Joe Alwyn, and Bigger Long is actually Omar Dorsey. So they really played that role really nicely. Don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I remember the woman behind me. She was crying, and I think that's because what she thought, the movie just made her think about, like the whole sum up, and I think it was very realistic.
Yeah, yes. I think the actors portrayed very well the sort of like the aura of what was going on in the 1800s.
And the last person I want to talk about for acting is Cynthia Erivo. She was actually Harriet in the movie.
Whoa, easy now.
I'm gonna be free or die.
Harriet Tubman is one of the most famous abolitionists in history. She herself did the run to freedom of 100 miles on her own, and then came back 13 times and saved 70 enslaved people single-handedly, and then was one of the first women to lead an armed battalion, and then brought to freedom over 750 enslaved people. She was a remarkable woman who did a lot in her lifetime. She lived till she was 91.
Harriet, welcome to the Underground Railroad.
Harriet's story has that in it anyway. She sang to communicate. The use of the spiritual was to communicate. Some of the verses would be coded with instruction. So she would sing to tell them that she was there, or that she was leaving, or that it wasn't time yet, or that time was coming soon. And so I just happened to be lucky enough to be able to sing. And so we had to find the right sound that would be right for her.
You got lucky, Harriet. There's nothing more you can do.
Don't you tell me what I can't do. I made it this far on my own.
I hope that the viewers will get that from her, she was 5 foot woman who was, I guess, doubted consistently, managed to find the power within herself to change the world. And I hope that people feel like, if they feel like they're insignificant or small, that they look within themselves and find something powerful, and they use that to change the world too.
Ready?
And there were like some parts in the movie that I just wondered, like, how did they come up with doing that? Like when she fell down from the river.
I think that, I remember when I was watching the trailers before I had to watch the movie, I always wondered what was going to happen, and I always wondered what part of the movie that was. So I was thinking just from a blank, like me acting like I know nothing about Harriet Tubman, I would have said that she would have died. But because I knew a certain amount about Harriet Tubman, I just was really I was really wondering what was gonna happen, and it seemed like it looked so realistic. It was very convincing.
So I heard there was some stuff online, like on Instagram, on these different social media networks, on how they were hashtagging her, not my Harriet, because she was from England, you know? Mm. But even though she's from England, she's still African descent.
I believe because I think she played the part very well, even though she was from England, and I think that she did a really good job. And I don't really think that makes any sense, because she's still from African descent. So I don't think that it really matters where she's from. The fact that I feel like she understood what she was doing and she really believed in the part that she was playing. So I think that she did a phenomenal job.
Let's hop right into the music by Terrence Blanchard. He was actually at one of the plays I've seen. He was doing music over there. It was a Bud Not Buddy play based off the book by Christopher Paul Curtis, and I actually saw him at the Kennedy Center where they had performed.
I really liked the music. The music was phenomenal, especially in the very tense parts. For example, when they were in the carriage and they almost got caught because the slave catchers were on the bridge, since they were so angry that Moses, the N-word girl, was stealing their slaves. And also when Harriet was in the water and she prayed and then she came out and then everyone believed her and they went in the water.
I like how the music really impacted the way and the feeling of the scenes that it was put into. And like some movies, like when you put music into stuff, it doesn't really match, but I feel like in every scene and every point in time where the music was used, it just matched the movie in every single way.
Yeah, I agree. It conveyed the emotions of what was going on at the period.
And he actually is a jazz trumpeter. He was a jazz trumpeter in the play, I believe, as well.
When trouble comes, you'll be ready.
So Jaden and Abdul, what are some of your favorite quotes? Not specifically a quote, but maybe one of your favorite sayings or one of the sayings that really hit you hard.
Personally, my favorite quote was, I either live free or I die, because she used this so much times, and she's gone through so much being enslaved that she either chooses to live free or she must die. And I think that's the main reason why she jumped into the river.
My favorite quote personally was at the end when they were talking about how she died. They said that her final words were, "I go to prepare a place for you." And that was so deep because that was from the Bible. And even though it was from Jesus, the story of her and Moses are so similar. How she was taking her people to freedom, the African Americans to freedom, just as Moses was taking his people to the promised land from Egypt. And it was just emotional how the stories were so similar. And she had used that quote from the Bible right before she died.
Yeah, and another thing was how they actually thought she was a man, because remember she used to wear that hat, and she rode, I can remember a clip where she had ridden away with one of the slaves, I believe, that was actually helping the slave masters, but he wanted to go on Harriet's side, so he decided to go with her.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense because, like, the way people, back then and even sometimes now, the way people thought about things were that heroic side of people has to be masculine. It has to be very, like, and the feminine is just like the people who sit back, relax, and like do house things, while the men go out and save people and do things for society. So I think that's why out of nowhere they just automatically assumed that Harriet Tubman was a man, that Moses was a man.
Thank you guys for helping me critique this movie and giving me your feedback and opinions on this movie.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, I had a very good time. Thank you.
You're welcome. And you guys out there, you guys really, 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 really have to go see the movie Harriet, because the film was great, amazing, and you guys it'll really hit you guys hard. Let's make a new hashtag for Cynthia Erivo. Hashtag, you are our Harriet. What do you guys think of that?
I like
It's
it.
fitting.
Yes. You guys can follow me on IamShelemiah on Instagram, and my Twitter and my Facebook is TheShelemiahShow. Thank you guys for watching.
Calling me to answer, gonna keep on keeping on. And I know what's around the bend might be hard to face 'cause I'm alone.
Hi, I'm V. Helena, host of the Writers Haven Show, and I'm here with Marita Golden, the award-winning author of The Wide Circumference of Love and Us Against Alzheimer's, 2 books that deal with the subject of Alzheimer's. We have an important message about resources for caregivers and those stricken with this disease.
Alzheimer's is a chronic, degenerative brain disease that usually starts slowly and gradually worsens over time. It is the most common form of dementia, and 5.7 million Americans are afflicted by it. African Americans are twice as likely to develop the disease as whites.
It is the 6th leading cause of death, with the most common symptoms being difficulty in remembering recent events, problems with language, disorientation, mood swings, loss of motivation, and difficulty managing self-care. As a person's condition declines, they often withdraw from family and society.
But they are not alone. There is help available to assist caregivers and those suffering from this devastating disease. The Alzheimer's Association is dedicated to finding a cure and providing support to those who are impacted. Go to their website at www.alz.org for a listing of resources at a chapter near you.
Also see the listing at the end of this message for additional resources, and stay encouraged.